Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games Discord, as we have Peter here. Oh no, actually John. And Dustin playing Bomberman, actually super fast start. So we've got a Plains, Lotus Petal, Lion's Eye Diamond, and we see a Stoneforge Mystic. So I'm guessing John's actually going to be on Death and Taxes here. A basic Plains and a Stoneforge. Really don't see much Snoko that runs. Sorry about the glitch there. We don't see much Snoko that runs Stoneforge Mystic. Grabs a sword, and now a City of Traders. And this is like danger zone right now. This Dustin could literally win. Oh, wow. Salvagers. We'll see if John's actually on Snoko. Does he have a Force? No. This is looking like Death and Taxes. Lion's Eye Diamond gonna recur indefinitely. And we've got Gyruda coming in. And now Urza. Pretty good with infinite mana, as it turns out. And that is gonna do it. So that is what John is gonna be up against. We see from the rest of those cards flipped, that is actually going to be Death and Taxes on John's side of the board. Pretty great that we can actually pause now in OBS. Go ahead and adjust that. So John on Death and Taxes. Dustin, one of the combo decks that Death and Taxes may not have much of a advantage against. We'll see what John can do. We have a Chalice at 1. That's going to get rid of Mother of Runes as well as Aether Vial. A Rest in Peace for John. So he is going to cut off the more explosive selection of hands. But we've got a Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, and Mishra's Bauble. Bauble going to be one-time use only. Got a Flooded Strand. Actually, some fun lately. We've got all sorts of Commander players, percentage-wise, probably the majority of the new customers that have been coming in have been Commander. We haven't been running in-store Legacy, so it's not like the constant meeting of new Legacy players and, you know, loaning people Legacy decks and all the stuff that normally goes on here. We had a new player in Commander starting to get more competitive, getting fetches, getting shocks, and she saw the art on that Flooded Strand, and she's like, is that a Ghost Panda? Which I'm pretty sure I'm going to think about every time that I see Flooded Strand from now on, is the Ghost Panda art. May have to get a altar going on that. We've got Karn, and this absolutely threatens to get past this Rest in Peace roadblock. He's going to grab Mycosynth Lattice up front. Flicker Wisp. If there was any doubt, it's Death and Taxes. Now, with Lattice, it's not actually super useful without the... Oh, and that is to the point that I was making. This Skyclave Apparition, which is very, very much the real deal. If anybody had any question about the power level of this card, I mean, it's a 3-mana Vindicate. You know, the deck used to run Mangara, which like took a whole turn to set up the exiling of opponent's permanents. Now, granted, you could reuse that with Aether Vial and Karakas, but there's no fuss here. This is a bigger body, comes down, handles permanents immediately, and it looks like, yeah? I mean, Mycosynth Lattice has like no value now, but I don't know that you could just ditch. Yeah, he's paying the 3 off of Lion's Eye Diamond just to get Gyruda into hand. 5, 6. I mean, he's got 6 mana. But that Rishadan Port's actually going to wipe out 2 of them if John is going to be careful. And he is. He's going to jam a Stoneforge Mystic and still have the ability to deny Dustin 2 mana. Pulling up the stats on Gyruda. Yeah, it is in fact 6 mana. And Urza showing up right off the top. That is a strong draw, as the construct can apply some pressure, and Urza himself gives some inevitability. Keep in mind, this game would be over if it were not for this Rest in Peace, as it has stopped salvagers from just straight up creating infinite mana. And now Urza helping out with the mana. And Gyruda's gonna actually play interestingly with Rest in Peace, as you still get to get the cards. I don't know if both players are aware of this. We'll see how they resolve it. But Gyruda, when it enters the battlefield, each player puts the top 4 cards of the library into their graveyard. Put a creature card with an even converted mana cost from among those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Doesn't actually care about where those cards are when the ability resolves, so they can, from exile, still come back. It's a odd wording choice from Wizards, and did he completely whiffed? Wow. Total whiff. And Batterskull coming in. And I'm actually not sure who's favored from here. I mean, Urza can create a lot of card advantage. Batterskull is a real pain. Super grindy card. Gyruda's just kind of a dumb 6/6. If it had flying, this would be a very different board state. Sword of Fire and Ice. Card drawing from that could make a huge difference if he can make it happen. But connecting is not the simplest thing with this board state. Urza's Bauble. Basically a mock Sapphire for now. Later it can be used to draw a card. And Urza I didn't quite follow that. Not sure what that other token represents. Let me know if you followed that line. John does have his back up against the wall here. Now Urza can, for 5 mana, spin the wheel. So these Rishadan ports, while they can deny Dustin the best use of his mana, perhaps, it's going to be pretty difficult to stop Urza from doing ridiculous things. Oh, we've got another Recruiter of the Guard. We see another Vindicate on a stick. Or does John have other plans? There's also Revoker to consider, which is the option he's going with. And that's going to stop most of the elements of Urza here. A walking ballista? Looks like a alt art walking ballista. And things are getting crazy. Urza's unlocked. So these artifacts able to tap for blue again. You know, Rest in Peace did stop the game from just ending, but there's a lot of other stuff that's going on. It's not like when you're playing against Reanimator and you land a Rest in Peace where you can just kind of cruise to victory. I mean, he's got constructs to contend with. Urza just bit the dust. But still a long way to go to be able to break on through on the ground. There's a Gyruda and a construct. Both of them are enormous. There's a walking ballista that can just keep growing with time as well. And another, looks like a Chalice at 3. And Recruiter of the Guard stepping up to chump block. As Dustin looks like he's going to be getting there. Plan B is going to be enough. I believe we've got a Stone Coil Serpent in the mix here on Dustin's side. And yeah, I mean, this deck has a lot of crazy lines. This Germ is Voltroning up. I believe we've got 6 power. And Dustin going to be able to block and then remove the counter to prevent that life gain. Flicker Wisp. I may have thought that Stone Coil Serpent was a Chalice of the Void earlier. Does actually look like a Stone Coil Serpent to me now. Or is this Bauble? And now a Chalice at 1 again. Dustin not interested in other mana costs here, just doubling down on the Chalice at 1. And Skyclave Apparition. The third one here. Shrinking the construct, which seems like the last major threat. Another Rest in Peace. The Germ just creates a tremendous amount of inevitability. And really any of these bodies are more than capable of holding a Batterskull and Sword. The extra stats are going to be welcome. And Flicker Wisp, perhaps the prime target now. think we're going to be going on to game 3 after all of this. Looks like the graveyard hate is going to be enough to contain Dustin. He was able to do some crazy stuff, but it does look like John's probably going to be able to punch through here. A lot of options. Not actually sure how I'd play it. Depending on the life total over there on Dustin, I may be sending Sword of Fire and Ice over to the Flicker Wisp, swinging, and then potentially handing it back to the Batterskull, just to get in the extra damage. Passing equipment back and forth can be super important. It looked like Dustin was getting ready to scoop there, depending on how much time's left in the round. Not actually sure strategically what the best option is going to be for Dustin, but he is actually going to scoop it up now. It's difficult to know exactly how much time you want to have when you're playing a deck like Bomberman, because there are going to be some games which are just auto wins that you can win very, very quickly. So in that regard, Death and Taxes can't possibly beat you in 3 turns. So if you can start the round with as little time as possible, that does favor Bomberman in for sure. But you also don't want to eliminate the games that you could potentially win by going the distance. So I guess a deck like Bomberman, from what we just saw, perhaps the right play is to just have as much time as necessary for you to get your win if you're going to get it. Maybe a little bit less time on the clock is acceptable, given that Death and Taxes, may not be able to close it out in those turns, but it's going to be pretty difficult to really predict, given just how grindy both of these decks can be, providing value from all sorts of different angles. Even something like a Salvager's recurring a bauble can be the difference in a game where you're just paying 2 mana to draw a card. I mean, in old school, Greed as a Magic card is actually played, and Salvager's happy to play the role. We have a Auriok Salvager's coming down on the first turn. Wow. And after all of that, in the second game, we had a turn 2 win with John. Not able to do anything. Game 2, he fought valiantly and gets the win. And now Gyruda's coming down here on the second turn. Oh, and whiffing again? Wow. Wow. We've got 8 damage coming in, and John could really put a damper on this with a Swords to Plowshares or so. The Salvagers currently cannot recur Lion's Eye Diamond and has nothing to do with it. I think there should be some other artifacts in play. Yeah, Rest in Peace comes down. If John can stabilize from here, I think Dustin, perhaps a little frazzled after whiffing on the Gyruda, but he could have returned the Lion's Eye Diamond at the very least to have that be in play. Containment Priest now. Cavern of Souls. Chalice at 1. Containment Priest. Blocking. Just chump blocking there as the 6/6 is ultimately enough to get there. Wow, what a crazy variance in the way that those games played out. We had just incredibly fast kills. We had a huge, long, drawn-out game, and then we had a fumble, which still ended up getting there for Dustin. Really showing quite a range of roles that this Bomberman list can play. that is all for this one. But don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.